So we will go back slightly. We're on page AyinBase 15. And this is 7 lines from the top. Or six lines from the top. Lo Yadaita. That begins Lo Yadaita. So the Rebbe is explaining that although there is a method, there's a process which allows us to get to know that which is above Yislapis B'Kelim. From the Oil HaMislabish B'Kelim, from Oil HaMamale, we can get to know something about the Oil HaSevi. As we discussed here. And this knowledge of the Oil HaSevi is not only the Metzias, that there is such an Oil, but we actually can have a sense of the quality of that Oil HaSevi. But then he said, but this whole phenomenon, this whole spectrum of Yediyah, of knowing Oir, that applies only in this Pashtus Ha'oir, and not in Etzem Ha'oir. So this is not a new term for us, but we'll try to get into this a little bit more. Spreading forth, spreading out. It's Pashtus Ha'oir.
We have till now, the oil and the ha'ora. What's his pashtus? Is someplace there?
It travels distance, travels space. I don't know if it's not
We discussed previously the realm of Chokhmah and Bina, and in general the knowledge that comes mitzad the koyach hanefesh of seichel, or by personal experiment. So we explained that that which a person knows as a result of personal experiment, he knows nothing about the etzem, the reality itself. He knows only how that affects him. He doesn't know anything of the essence itself. What this is telling us, now clearly we are saying that this is not the limit of knowledge. There is an element in Seichel where we can know deeper than that. We can know the truth, not only how it affects me, but just from this exam, from this experience itself, we know that knowledge applies to something that has a function of manifestation. It lets itself be known. Something that is contained within itself. And you have to go and test it and touch it. To know it, you're not going to get to know the thing at all. This is not knowledge. Knowledge is only the result of being shown. That's what is pashtus. That we should find out through your own experimentation. It has nothing to do with the reality of the thing that you are testing, that you are touching. It has to do with how you perceive it, how it affects you. This is the principle of hispashtus here. Hispashtus means that it makes itself known, one way or another. Oil Hamamale is clearly hispashtus. It formulates itself in a manner that ultimately it can be contained in Kain, that it can be presented in a definitive manner. Oil HaSoivev is also in hispashtus. Soivev means that it gives you a context for the Mamale, which means there is a presence. It's also hispashtus. But then, beyond that, there is what's called etzem ha'oir. Now, etzem ha'oir to us, oir is by definition hispashtus. But there is a completely different significance, different concept in oir. Like we give the mashal of a person being in his home. This being in his home has to do with his personal reality. As we say, the Pasuk says, "Milu zoretz v'chivshua." This is your world. That has to do with the person himself. This is not merely expressing himself. And this is a reality from the person himself. Yet, as we pointed out, it's not the person himself, it's the oil of the person, because a person can be in his home in one corner, and he is present in the entire home. How is he present in the entire home? This is his presence, not him. And in this presence, this is the point that it's, this presence is there not because he's benefiting from it. He doesn't have any functional effect by having this big home. He himself is using on one corner, and that's all he uses.
This is an example of etzem without hispashtus, even though it seems to have a spatial situation.
Okay, so in this itself, there is the etzem oil and there is the hispashtus oil. The hispashtus is his claim, this is my home. The etzem doesn't have a claim. This is the human reality itself.
Which is still concerning the home or not at all?
Okay, now, this is what I'm trying to, we should recognize. go back to one of our illustrations. This man is lying in the gutter, in the dirt, and you try to help him. He says, "Leave me alone. I'm happy over here. I'm happy over here." So we say that he's not telling the truth, but he is happy over there. He says, "Leave me alone." What is he not telling the truth? This is going back to the essence of the person. Functionally, he says, "I'm happy over here." But that's not really you. The essence of the human being is of a caliber that does not fit with him, no matter what he says on a functional level. So the similar Indian, we're going back to this home. If a person says, "It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. People occupy my home. It doesn't bother me." So there also we say, he is not really telling the truth. It may be that he doesn't sense it. But in essence, a homeless person cannot be that a homeless person, it doesn't bother me that he's homeless. Cannot be.
So this is showing that even by etzem or there's a degree of expression to do with the world. It's not his spashtus, but there's...
No. So here we have the etzem without his spashtus.
Right, but yet it concerns the home.
This Indian that it concerns the home is not because of his pashtus, but because of his essential truth. Not because he's actually functionally relating to the home.
And not because he's claiming it.
Not because of claiming.
But somehow something temporal, the home, is connected with etzem.
This is how he was created. This is the godly gift, the godly imprint in the person, which he himself doesn't even have the jurisdiction of it. This is what he is. This is beyond his choice.
Beyond his what?
His choice.
His choice.
And the point which we have to understand, that his pashtus ha'oyer is representing the etzem. It's not merely that he spreads himself out. He wants to be recognized. He wants to be accommodated. This is an essential truth that is being misfashed. His pashtus is not something that he formulates, but this is a revelation of the reality, of the human reality. This etzem ha'oyer, this quality, etzem ha'oyer, of the human reality, even in our moshel, not talking about Lamaila, but even in our moshel, certain things that we sense and they defy understanding. They're qualities that we experience all the time. I ask many times, what hurts a person more? A smack or an insult? A smack really hurts. An insult is an intangible thing. embarrassment. One of the primary things that we pray for in davening is loy neighbors. We shouldn't be embarrassed. It's such a significant thing. Mom, be real. No, embarrassment to a human being is very real. It's very real because that touches the essence of his being a human being. A smack is a smack to the body. It hurts. Embarrassment, an insult, that insults his very being, his very human reality. So there we see that what it means, the etzem hoyer. Because functionally, a person of a low caliber does not get embarrassed. There are people who do. Ein lahem busha. In halacha, there are people, ein lahem busha. They don't have the quality of busha. They can relate only to something, to tangible experiences. Ein lahem busha. That's a low state of human being. He doesn't even identify himself, the human quality within himself. So this is hispashtus oyer and etzem oyer. Hispashtus means the oyer as it manifests, as it's being expressed. The etzem is the way it is in essence. The hispashtus comes from etzem.
In the beginning of the shir, it was said there's a process that allows us to get to know that which is above Hislabshus be'olamos, and that's applicable to hispashtus and not to etzem.
Right. Etzem, we can recognize its presence, but we can never understand any of it. What is that about? We can understand the oil as it's mislabish in kelim, and we can understand the oil here, soivev, the context, but we cannot understand the etzem oil. In the mishalim that we use, to put it bluntly, we can understand that part of the human being that comes to expression. He says, no, I don't like it here. I want to have a normal home. May understand more about that way. But the principle that even if he says it doesn't bother him, we know that there is still a reality in him, a human reality, which doesn't manifest in any which way. That we don't understand. What is this reality? This is the godly definition of the human being. This is beyond understanding. Yes. I can hear you. But he's speaking. What?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay, now I hear you. Go ahead.
So I thought you said, but maybe I'm wrong, that hispashtus oyer, we have some sense of it, but not only that we are aware it's there, but even some of its quality. Etzem, we are aware of it, or we're not aware of it at all. Etzem oyer. It's lo yadaiti, right?
Right. So the awareness is only by fact. In other words, it's not something that we can actually define what it is. Like we say, no matter how he behaves, he is still a human being. What is that?
I'm asking, is that a logical process of knowledge, or it's a direct sensing of it?
It's a direct sensing, but not sensing of it, sensing of a presence. Because what it is, we don't sense. If we sense what it is, we will be able to focus in and explain it.
So how is this different from Oyer HaSovev, which we said pretty much the same thing about it?
No. Oyer HaSovev, after we understand Oyer Mamala, we can understand Oyer HaSovev. Like I said, it gives context to the Mamala. It's also his pashtus. It has an effect.
What's the difference in terms of what we do and don't know between Oyer HaSovev and Oyer?
That's me.
Pardon me?
What's the difference?
Between what we know or can or can't know between Oyer HaSovev and Etzem Oyer.
Oyer HaSovev, we know how it affects the Oyer Mamala. And that's how we get to know the Oyer HaSovev. Because of Oyer Mamala, we sense what Oyer HaSovev is. Oyer HaSovev, we don't have any borders, any means of identifying it.
But yet we do have a sense of its being there. Like with the guy who's in the gutter.
Right.
That's why we don't believe him, no matter what he says about being happy to be there.
Right. Now, let me explain it. The guy is in the gutter. The reason we don't believe him is because we know his identity. We know what a human being is because we are human. So therefore, we look at him, he's a human being. It cannot be that he's total, that what he's saying is the truth. So we know it because we know ourselves, essentially. We know what a human being is. All right.
Again, what's the difference between a spashtus and ha'ora? Why do we use different terms?
Ha'ora is ultimately that which is mislabish and keli. Why? Because ha'ora is the principle of how the oil affects what it touches. This means ha'ora. The oil, even oil ha'spashtus, on the spashit, is reflective of where it's coming from, what the etzem is. It's ha'ora. Okay, ha'ora is actually an allusion to the real thing. Like we say, for example, this is the most tangible part of side of it. Again, you may get lost in the sunlight. As we discuss all the time, there is light per se. And there's the fact that we can see objects. We can see physical objects in the world. Seeing physical objects in the world is not the real principle of light. Because as we say all the time, when you see a physical object, you have not changed the situation. It's still dark, essentially. But there is a means by which you can see the object. But you haven't changed the primary situation. This object is not visible in and of itself. You made a situation where you could see it. It's called a ha'orah. Why is it a ha'orah? It's a ha'orah of light. It's a ha'orah of light. It's symbolic of light. Where you have, practically speaking, I could see the object. But essentially, it remains dark. All right. Let's leave that for the moment. We probably haven't a chance to revisit this. Yes.
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you and respond to Shlomo. Just going back to the question about what we know of Etzem, I thought there was about to be a Masha Ein Kain after what you said. In other words, the guy in the gutter, we know that he doesn't want to be there because we know he's a human being, and we're human beings. So there's a kind of logic to why or what we know about his Etzem.
We know nothing about his Etzem.
But we know he's a human being.
Because we know what we are.
It sounded to me like
he does not manifest the inner of being human being at all.
Right. And so how is that related to what we know of Etzem and more generally? Because
we know firsthand what a human being is, and we know how we feel about being human. So if we project and say that quality cannot possibly be drowned away in dirt.
And if we generalize, abstract from that to how we know Etzem ha'oyer, not in the mashal, but what we're speaking about, the nimshal.
So we don't know the Etzem. We identify its presence. We see that there is something here that cannot possibly be eliminated. It's not possible for him not to be that which he is.
I guess I'm not expressing my question properly. I'm asking, this is a mushal that you're giving about the guy in the gutter. The nimshal is the difference between etzem ha'oyer and his pashtus ha'oyer. So, in the nimshal itself of etzem ha'oyer, do we know the fact of that etzem ha'oyer because somehow we have etzem ha'oyer within us, or this is something else going on here?
No, the etzem ha'oyer, as far as we're concerned, from this and that level, we know since that his pashtus ha'oyer, we know there's etzem ha'oyer, but there's absolutely no knowledge of etzem ha'oyer per se.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to. In other words, we know it must be there because we know there's his pashtus.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let that be, so to speak, limit our discussion here. Right? Let's go later. Okay, so in Etzem ha'oyer, there is no yidiyah at all. And as I pointed out, because yidiyah applies only to that which is manifest. As I pointed out many times, yidiyah applies only to that which has borders. Etzem Oyer is reflective of the Etzem itself. It doesn't have any borders. Okay. So the Rebbe discusses here now more specifically what do we mean by saying we don't have any idea in it. So the idea, we have to know that in idea yesh gam kein beis madrigas. In idea there are also two madrigas. Beginnes chochma idea. That beginning which is called chochma idea. A knowable chochma. Or beginnes chakim v'lo bechochma idea. And the principle of chakim, of being wise, chocham, v'lo bechochma idea, but not by the process, by the basis of a knowable chokhmah. So let's finish the line. The hainu, which is one of these two levels of chokhmah, bechinas idiyas achiyo v'idiyas ashlila. Idiyas achiyo means knowing something directly by chokhmah, and idiyas ashlila knowing something indirectly. Knowing with Chokhmah what this Inyan is not, so to speak. So these two levels of idea, idea is achiyuv, idea is ashlila, are both called idea. Even idea is hashlila is also called idea. In other words, okay, we'll try to slightly discuss it. Let's go back to our focus on the human being. I mentioned many times, the world is so blind, the world is so idiotic, and they claim a human being came from a monkey. There's some kind of a commonality between a human being and a monkey. So I point out, if you bring the question straight out, you ask any human being in the world, forget about all the logic that was presented by this idiotic process. Do you really think that you came from a monkey? There's not a human being who will say yes. There is not. Even though he has long given up identifying what a human being is in a positive way. He has focus. I mentioned to you the experience that my son had over there. He said to somebody who is Balabatim, I believe the human being is superior to an animal. And the man says, Rabbi, you should say such a thing. You should say such a thing. In other words, he has forcefully removed this awareness in terms of a human being. And yet, for sure, he recognizes there is a vast difference between him and the animal.
Right.
What was this?
So this is showing on this affirmative. No one will answer in the affirmative that they came from a monkey.
Right.
And that's indicating knowledge beyond knowledge.
No. This indicating this is a shlila.
Okay.
It's not. He doesn't know what a human being is, but he knows he's not an animal. In other words, with all the effort of eliminating that difference, he will know that he's not an animal. Hmm?
So he has no positive idea of what a human being is that he could point to, yet he says, I'm not that.
But I'm not that, right? This is called the Diz Hashlila.
Okay.
So Diz Hashlila is also an Yediyah. Let me go back and focus in on these words. What's the time?
It's time.
Chakim, between Chakim b'chochmei Yediyah and Chakim b'lo b'chochmei Yediyah. In other words, this whole idea is primarily related to the Yin HaChochmah, even though we know that there are three faculties of wisdom, of knowledge: Chochmah, Bina, and Das. Yet, when we talk about the primary element of Idea, we immediately go to Chochmah. Chochmah Idea, Lo Chochmah Idea.
Chokhmah is the origin. Why wouldn't we go to Chokhmah?
What is the, very good.
What?
In what way is Chokhmah originated from Chokhmah? What is its origin? What is its origin? That's exactly what I'm asking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, the origin. Well, we say about Chokhmah that it's this, let's say, spark that comes from what's above.
No,
Comes
but
from
you're
nowhere.
going. I want you to talk in our terms. What is it? What does Chokhmah present you with? And you say this is the origin of wisdom.
Presents you with an insight that's preceding any elaboration, any circumstance.
Remember we spoke yesterday that when one first wakes up, before he has a chance to reflect and make sense of what he is seeing, he immediately knows a profound truth about it. What does he know? He knows that his neshama was restored, and was restored by a melech, and that he is in an environment where there is a melech. And that he knows as soon as he opens his eyes.
Yeah. I don't want to take us off track, but I was thinking about this morning, and I don't know if I felt like I was,
Of course he didn't.
I felt like here I am in bed, let's get up, or let's go back to sleep. Or I didn't, this that it's so obvious.
Of course he
almost.
didn't. Of course he didn't. But he did.
Right.
Wait a second. What did Shlomo Yennison said? I think I identify with this. What did he say?
No, you can identify with what you were saying. You don't need something else until substantiated. Go ahead. You see, this is what we're saying over here. Like a human being says, no, it doesn't matter. I'm satisfied here, and he's not, and it's not true.
Right. But the way it was said a moment ago, his first perception is that he is in the presence of a
That,
king.
yeah, the important. Okay, now listen to me. Listen. We have been robbed of our initial truth. We were taught not to trust our initial trust. This is what we say. Children, they are pure and true. Before their mind has been perverted to the point where you say, hey, don't trust everything you see. Don't trust everything that you're being taught. Question, and then he loses that simple reality, simple truth. What is the simple truth of a human being? Simple truth of the world. The most simple truth of the world is that there is no world but for the fact that it was created. And yet, to us, it's a whole struggle to get to sense this. Because to actually sense things with chokhmah, on the chokhmah level, you have to rise to the chokhmah level and extricate yourself from the physical constraints. But in essence, our simple truth is chokhmah, which says that the way I perceive things just by the way they presented, that's the truth.
And the way they're presented is this is an ongoing creation of the king.
From the king, yes. This is so common. This is such a fact, to speak of the darkness of the world. A person comes over and does an altruistic good. We immediately begin to dig what's behind it. Why is he doing that? What does he expect in the return? He says he's doing that which is good, which is reflective of the godly truth. What justification do you need to that? He is part of godly world. He is also a God. The reality as it is. Immediately, what's behind it? What is he? What's he have under his sleeve? What does he expect in return? Where does that come from? We don't see the truth. Of course, we see it. We refuse to accept it.
We see it and refuse to accept it. We don't perceive it necessarily, but there is some inner sight that we.
Well, they refuse to accept it because, lest I don't want to go too far, lest we be caught in a stupid situation.
You know what? What situation? Stupid?
In a stupid situation. You really believe that? You really think that?
Oh.
Childlike. So back to, we have some inner perception that is still there.
Chokhmah,
we don't.
but chokhmah is a quality of the neshama. The neshama is not perverted.
Okay.
The neshama sees things and tells you the way things are from a godly perspective. And the miracle of it is that it actually tells you that. Through the faculty of chokhmah, it tells you what it is. And this faculty of Chokhmah, when it looks at the biro of the world, he sees right away it's a biro, it's a reality. A tree grows because it's part of the world, not because a tree grows like stupid. It's trying to secure its existence. It's stupid. It grows because it's part of the whole reality. It fulfills its mission for which it was created. This is what we perceive at Chokhmah. Because Chokhmah primarily perceives right away that there is a creator, that it's a created thing, and therefore everything has its mission, has its place. This Chokhmah, as pure as it is, can only identify his pashtus ho'ir. Etzem ho'ir, Chokhmah has no access to. This is what we say. That's why.
And why is that?
I can only answer by demonstrating it. I cannot answer it logically. Can you understand the principle that the Rambam says that there is a Motzui Rishein, a first being? Doesn't the first question come up that comes up into your mind, comes up in your mind is, okay, and where does it come from? The reason that cannot be perceived is because this chokhmah is really a godly gift. It's not something that we create by our experience. It's a godly gift to the human being, to the Eden. This is why it's very painful when we tamper with this. That's why it says Chochmas Chitzonius. Chochmas Chitzonius. Worldly wisdom. What's Chochmas Chitzonius? Chochmas Chitzonius is knowing things from the external approach. What does it appear like? How do you experiment it, to assess it? Is metame as hamayach. Tavis hamayach means that it interferes with the neshama revealing itself in the person. Now that I mentioned this, I just want to give us a little bit of a way out. Since all of us have been attacked by this the way out is to reflect. For example, we say the earth has a gravitational pull, and the reason things stick to the earth because the earth pulls them to itself. The Chokhmah view of this is no, everything is where it should be. Everything is where it is to fulfill a godly mission. Just like the table is here. Not because there is room over here in this room, pull the table to it. It's here because that's where it belongs. That's where it fulfills its mission of being. Same thing is true regarding all the natural forces that we identify. These natural forces are there because that's the way it should be. That's where it belongs. So this is a first step towards extricating oneself from the binds of Chochmas Chitzonius. So we have to stop. The time is up. I guess we'll review tomorrow, Mitzvah, but we have, and hopefully we'll get a meaningful clarity in this.
This we said a moment ago. The Chochmah, as pure as it is, can only perceive his spashtus or. We had before that or can really not be seen unless it touches an object.
No, that is pashtus.
That's what?
That perceiving light is only occurs to us, maybe Chochmah is different, only to us when the light comes to an object, so too with light itself. So I'm just wondering, is Chochmah perceiving...
That's a ha'ora.
Okay.
This, when you say perceiving an object, is not the oil itself, it's the ha'ora. It's the effect of the oil.
Right, and that or per se cannot be perceived. But is that a special feature of Chochmah that
His
it
pashtus ha'oil, right. His pashtus ha'oil, Chochmah can perceive.
can perceive it directly, even though we struggle to imagine what that would be, perceiving light directly, because that's not within our capabilities.
No, it is Mechal
It is.
When you open your eyes, we see that there is a godly reality in the world.
Okay, not the objects, but the reality.
That's right.
That's the
Like what Avraham Avinu said, this is a world, this is a bira.
That's the aura.
Hmm?
When you see that it's godly reality, that's
his
the aura.
spashtus.
No, that's his pashtus ha'oil.
Okay.
It's a godly creation.
Okay.
A cat enters your home.
It's the meaning.
Does it appreciate that this is a home? This furniture is where it belongs. This piece of furniture where it belongs. This one, everything is in the right place and
No.
focus on one center. Does it?
No. No concept.
No conception at all. And if you train it, it'll never get it.
Never get it. Right.
Gentlemen, have a great day.
I just saw a good video of a monkey.